New York.
Apple.
Hot dogs.
Dollar.
Hollywood.
Democracy.
Freedom. Rock and roll. Wall Street.
Statue of Liberty.
Los Angeles, California.
McDonald's.
Jeans.
Bubblegum. Video games. Nintendo.
What's so great about America?
Every Saturday night, 7 to 9 p.m., explore American culture and language.
With Master Steve,
Ina MK,
And Hasba Cutie.
tune in to find out about what makes America so great.
The Great American Weekend. Listen exclusively on Radio Van 103.1.
Also, watch us on the Radio Von Facebook page, website, and mobile app. Welcome to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Von. I'm Master Steve here with Ina MK.
Good evening, Master Steve. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Great. All ready and set for our episode about the writings and personality of Mark Twain.
Yeah, he is one of America's greatest writers, and he is, I think, one of the best humorous writers
Of all time.
Of all time, yeah. I mean, he is absolutely hilarious and smart, witty. Yeah, it's if you've never read a Mark Twain book,
Is there someone
you're
who
missing
has
out.
never read Mark Twain?
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
probably.
Could be. And I'd like to remind that to our listeners that if they don't have an access to our frequency, which is 103.1, they can watch and listen us live on www.radiovan.fm, our official website.
Mm-hmm.
Also our Facebook page.
We're on Facebook, both on the Radio Von website and in our own Great American Weekend group.
And also, of course, the application. Download it and listen and watch anywhere around the globe. Also, you guys can call in 560901 to participate, ask your questions, join our discussions, argue with us.
Of course, we're gonna have quotes on tonight's show, and they're all going to be Mark Twain quotes. But one of the things you guys could do if you're sitting at home listening in, you could call in and share your favorite Mark Twain quote with us. He's got so many of them. Very quotable personality.
I'm wondering how Irene is doing. We haven't heard from her for a long time.
That is true.
Yeah, so Irene, I bet you know our phone number by heart, 560901. We'll look forward to hear from you. And also...
And guests. Are we all by ourselves tonight?
No, of course not. We are going to welcome in our studio the musicians of the group
The Walking Dead.
A
couple of them.
Yeah, and they are a cover group of Dead Walking.
No, of the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, the Grateful
Dead Walking.
Dead Walking. Dead Walking.
They're a Grateful Dead cover band here.
Yes.
In Yerevan.
Bruce Matzkin, who is the vocalist, and guitarist David Selimyan. So later during the show, we'll welcome them here, and we hope that we'll hear a couple of things performed.
Yeah, I hear they got 2 or 3 songs for us.
Yeah. So let's move and see what we've got about Mark Twain.
Well, I think maybe, should I start by reading something?
Yeah, sure. It's always pleasant to hear Master Steve read.
And I think our audience, will get a kick out of this. It's from a speech that he gave at a banquet that was honoring Andrew Carnegie, and it's called The Alphabet and Simplified Spelling. Mm-hmm. There have been a few different attempts throughout American history to simplify American English spelling, which, especially it's a horrible mess.
Well,
spelling in English is a horrible mess because
a lot of exceptions.
A lot of exceptions. And it's not so much that there are a lot of exceptions. It's like English is kind of a bastard language. I mean, it takes things from Latin through French. It takes things from Latin through Italian. It just kind of borrowed things from all over the place.
But, that's
we
why
didn't
when
even
someone knows
necessarily-
English,
Yeah.
they can learn other languages.
Not really.
No? Okay.
No, well, at least not in my case.
All
So
right.
here is the part of a speech that Mark Twain gave, and it's wonderful. I mean, and by the way, the reason we're talking about Mark Twain today is because it's on this day in 1835 that Samuel Langhorne Clemens was born. Yeah.
Happy
And
birthday.
he later took the pen name Mark Twain. So
Let's go.
Mark Twain goes, I have been a guest of honor myself, and I know what Mr. Carnegie is experiencing now. It is embarrassing to get compliments and only compliments, particularly when he knows as well as the rest of us that on the other side of him there are all sorts of things worthy of our condemnation. Just look at Mr. Carnegie's face. It's fairly scintillating with fictitious innocence. You would think, looking at him, that he had never committed a crime in his life. But no. Look at his pestiferous, simplified spelling. You can't, any of you, imagine what a crime that has been. Mr. Carnegie has brought destruction to the entire race. I know he didn't mean to. He didn't mean for it to be a crime, but it was just the same. He's got us all so we can't spell anything. The trouble with him is that he attacked orthography at the wrong end. He meant well, but he attacked the symptoms and not the cause of the disease. He ought to have gone to work on the alphabet. There's not a vowel in it with a definite value, and not a consonant that you can hitch anything to. Look at the H's distributed all around. There's gherkin. Gherkin. What are you going to do with the H in that?
Yeah.
What the devil's the use of H in the word gherkin? I'd like to know. It's one thing I admire the English for. They just don't mind anything about them at all. But look at the pneumatics and pneumonias and all the rest of them. A real reform would settle them once and for all and wind up by giving us an alphabet that we wouldn't have to spell with at all, instead of this present silly alphabet, which I fancy was invented by a drunken thief. Why, there isn't a man who doesn't have to throw out some 1,500 words a day when he writes his letters because he can't spell them. It's like trying to do a St. Vitus dance with a wooden leg or two wooden legs. Now, I'll bet there isn't a man here who can spell pterodactyl. Not even the prisoner at the bar. I'd like to hear him try, but not in public, for it's too near Sunday when all extravagant histrionic entertainments are barred. I'd like to hear him try in private. And when he got through trying to spell pterodactyl, you wouldn't know whether it was a fish or a beast or a bird, and whether it flew on its legs or walked with its wings. Yeah, the chances are that he would give it tusks and make it lay eggs as well. Let Mr. Carnegie go to reform the alphabet, and we'll pray for him if he'll take that risk. If we had an adequate, competent vowel, with a system of accents given to each vowel, its own soul and value, so that every shade of that vowel would be shown in its accent, there is not a word in any language that we could not spell accurately. If I ask you what B-O-W spells, can you tell me? Unless you know which B-O-W I mean? And it's the same with R-O-W and B-O-R-E and the whole family of them, which were born out of unlawful wedlock and don't know their own origin.
I wonder what would Mark Twain say if he heard my last name.
Yeah, well, there are no vowels in it.
No vowels at all. Almost.
So, yeah, and he goes on. I mean, it's really funny because he brings up R-O-W and R-E-A-D and L-E-A-D. You know, is it row or row? Is it read or read? Is it lead or led?
Yeah.
Come on.
Exactly.
English is a mess.
English is a mess, but we love it. And now we're ready for an advertisement break. We'll be back after the break. Stay tuned. This is the Great American Weekend. We're talking about Mark Twain tonight. And of course, we'll have guests later during the show with some music to share with us. Stay tuned.
So then I tell the bartender, no, you keep the change.
Guys, I don't get it.
Ina, it's an American thing.
Learn more about American humor on Great American Weekend.
Yeah, this show is all about American things with an Armenian accent. And we're back in the studio with Master Steve and I'm Ina MK. We're here live till 9 p.m. You can watch and listen us on our social media platforms and also our frequency. We are discussing Mark Twain and his life tonight because it's his birthday. Happy birthday, maestro. And now we're ready for our regular quote episode. Quote segment. So here we go. Let's start. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything.
Well, I don't know about that.
All the quotes are, of course, by Mark Twain. We don't have anything else tonight. So listen carefully. If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. What a great advice.
Okay.
Do the hardest
I mean, like the whole
work.
frog, not just the legs.
Yeah, the whole frog.
Okay.
If you've got stuff to do, guys, do the hardest one the first. This is how I get it.
I think so too. Yeah, do it. You got something hard to do it first thing in the morning, and do the hardest one first.
And keep the easiest for dessert. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. This is the ideal life. Why sleepy?
Well,
What do you
sleepy
think?
conscience. The one that's not bugging you all the time to be doing the right thing.
Yeah. Now I see. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to reform or pause and reflect. Don't be like everyone.
Yeah, don't be like everybody else.
Never put off till tomorrow what may be done the day after tomorrow just as well.
That's procrastination.
Yeah.
You know.
Level God. But this kind of contradicts with the frog one, don't you think?
Well, if you have to eat the frog, do it right away. I mean, it has to be done today, apparently, because I have no idea.
It has to be done.
Because it has to be done today.
I have never let my schooling interfere with my education. Out of system thing. Reader, suppose you were an idiot, and suppose you were a member of Congress. But I repeat myself. He's got few funny ones related to politics and Congress.
Yeah, he was not necessarily a fan of the American government at his time.
Yeah. The taxpayers are sending congressmen on expensive trips abroad. It might be worth it, except they keep coming back.
We're sending you away so that you stay away.
Stay.
Go.
But
don't come back.
We have the best Congress money can buy.
Corrupt much?
Never argue with stupid people. This is one of my favorite ones. Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Before we finished our quotes, I'd like to remind that you guys can call in 560901, participate, share with us your favorite quotes by Mark Twain. So the next one is, it is by the goodness of God that in our country we have those 3 unspeakably precious things: freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, and the prudence never to practice either of them. Don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing. It was here first. God created war so that Americans would learn geography.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah,
Ouch.
that hurt. What would men be without women? Scarce?
Yeah, scarce, sir.
Sir, mighty scarce.
Yeah, we wouldn't, there wouldn't be any more of us.
Yeah.
We would be gone.
Of course, that's logical. When I was a boy at 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years. To get full value of joy, you must have someone to divide it with. And the last one before we go on the break and the music followed. The human race has only one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. Thank you, Mark Twain, for the wisdom with a pinch of humor, always attached to it. We're now ready for the break, and we'll then listen to System of a Down, and we'll be back afterwards. This is the Great American Weekend. Call in 560901.
Hey, what kind of fixins do you like on your hot dog?
Fixins?
Yeah, relish, onions, mustard, ketchup, condiments.
No, not that.
Oh, fixins. I love chili dogs.
Learn about American cuisine on the Great American Weekend.
We're back in the studio with the Great American Weekend on Radio Van 103.1. And we're talking about Mark Twain tonight.
Samuel Langhorne Clemens?
Yes, and I've prepared a quiz for you, Master
All right.
Steve. So are we ready to do it?
Yeah, let's do it. And then if we have time, I've got another little something to read.
Yeah, sure. We'll enjoy that later. And now let's do the quiz. Let's see how good Master Steve knows about Mark Twain. Question number 1. Where was Mark Twain born? Hannibal, Missouri? Reading, Connecticut?
No, Missouri. Hannibal,
Missouri.
Missouri, yeah.
Question number 2. When was Mark Twain born? April 30th. Okay.
Well, I said that already.
November
30th,
30th,
1936, if I remember correctly.
Question number 3. Mark Twain has many direct descendants. True? False?
False.
Question number 4. How many children did Mark Twain's parents have? 4, 5, 6, 7.
I think it's 5, but I'm really just kind of guessing.
Okay, let's do it. Let's have 5. One of Mark Twain's brothers died in a steamboat accident. True, false?
True.
Which of these people was not one of Mark Twain's children? Clara, Susie, Elizabeth, Langdon, Jen.
What were the names again?
Clara, Susie, Elizabeth, Langdon, and G-E-A-N.
Jean. Elizabeth, I think.
Okay. Question number 7. What does the pen name Mark Twain mean? Your answer?
Well, it's the second line, Mark II, on the line that they used to drop in to measure the depth of the water on steamboats. And if you hit Mark Twain, the second mark, that meant that the water was deep enough for the boat to go through.
So the answer will be depth of the water, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a steamboat captain for a while.
Who was Mark Twain's childhood sweetheart? Amy Lawrence, Sarah Smith, Laura Hawkins, Becky Thatcher.
I don't... Wait, whose childhood sweetheart?
Mark Twain's childhood.
I don't know.
Just take a guess.
I mean, Becky Thatcher is the one who is in Tom Sawyer, and that's Tom Sawyer's childhood sweetheart. But I don't think he could get away with using the real name in the book. What was the second one?
Sarah Smith.
I'm going to go with Sarah Smith.
Okay. Where is Mark Twain buried? New York, Connecticut, Missouri, Hannibal, St. Louis, Missouri.
Connecticut, I believe.
Which of these careers did Mark Twain not attempt? Miner, steamboat pilot, printer, judge, lecturer.
Judge. He was never a judge as far as I know. He never got his law degree. He wouldn't be able to be a judge.
What phenomenon was present in the skies at Mark Twain's birth and death?
Halley's Comet. He said he came in with the comet, and he said he would go out with the comet, and he died when Halley's Comet returned.
I'm submitting the answers. So test. So number one question. Wrong. The correct answer is Florida, Missouri.
What?
Where Mark Twain
was
born. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He grew up in Hannibal, and that's where, because that's kind of where. Anyway, that's kind of where the Tom Sawyer stuff is set, and a lot of it's kind of based on his childhood. But he was born in Florida, and they moved there when he was young.
So the birth date is correct, of course. Then the third question, Mark Twain has many direct descendants. False, and it's correct.
He had a few children, but I think most of them died before he did.
And Mark Twain's parents had 7 children. Yeah. Mark Twain's brothers died in the steamboat accident. It's true. Question number 6.
And I believe Mark Twain was on the boat when it happened, and he felt kind of guilty for it.
Yeah, that's hard. So question number 6 about Mark Twain's children. Elizabeth, the one that you answered. Elizabeth, it's a correct answer.
Okay. It doesn't sound like a name he would give one of his kids. To British monarchy.
Mark Twain means we would have accepted any of the following answers. The test says 2 fathoms.
2 fathoms deep.
Yeah. Who was Mark Twain's childhood sweetheart? Sarah Smith. Wrong. It's Laura Hawkins.
Laura Hawkins. Okay. Who apparently who Becky Thatcher is based on.
Mark Twain is buried in Elmira, New York.
In New York?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I lived in New York for a while, and I didn't know that, and I never went and saw his grave. That's disappointing.
We're learning.
Why didn't I know that?
It's cool that we're learning. Question number 10. Mark Twain, of course, did not attempt the career of judge. And the Halley's Comet is right. So the quiz result, you're almost an expert on Mark Twain.
Well, all right then.
Almost expert is also great news.
So he was incredibly popular during his lifetime and actually made quite a bit of money from his books and his lectures. He would go around and give speeches and give lectures, do readings of his books. Very, very popular. But he invested a lot of his money in like technology. Mm-hmm. For what at the time was technology companies and products and that sort of stuff. And he lost a lot of money and actually ended up filing for bankruptcy at one point because he lost everything. Mm-hmm. And then he, with the help of one of his friends, he got back into writing more and doing lectures, touring around. He ended up going to Europe for quite a while and living there and making a fair amount of money giving speeches and stuff there. And by the time he returned to the U.S., he was able to pay back all of the people that he owed money to, even though after having filed for bankruptcy, he was not legally obligated to do that. But he made enough money where he was able to pay everybody back, and then lived a fairly comfortable life for the rest of his, lived fairly comfortably for the rest of his life. So that just kind of goes to show you what kind of character he had. You know, he was very much interested in new technologies and new things and new information, to the point where he made investments in sort of risky technology, risky new kind of cutting edge things for the time. But then he was also so responsible and had this, you know, pride in himself and his character that even though he didn't have to pay back the people that he owed money after having filed for bankruptcy, he did anyway. There are stories about how he used to smoke, like basically chain smoke cigars. You know, he would smoke like 8 Cuban cigars a day at one point in his life, which basically means that you're, you know, that's like 8 hours, 8 to 10 a day, I think is what I heard at one point. Which, you know, that means you're basically continuously smoking.
You know, we've got comments, and you know who writes us?
Hey, Aramast,
much love from Addis Ababa. Hey, Aramast, we miss you. Hazva QT, how are you doing? Hope everything is well with you. And his Aramast is really busy now with his movie.
He's working
Ethiopia.
on his documentary.
Yeah, so it's great. Let's wish him good luck on that. And we have another comment by Aramas. Radio America instead of Radio Yerevan. Love it. Thank you, Aramas. We've have Irene saying good evening to us. Hey, Irene. Hi. Thanks for your comment. How are you doing? Don't you have quiz for listeners? Oh, yes, we have, and we already had the quiz. And you can call in 560-901 to chat with us and share your favorite quotes if you have, or just say anything about our theme.
Yeah, and Mark Twain was able to make fun of just about anything. Yeah, he would poke fun, he would satirize, he would just make fun of anything.
That's a good approach.
Oh yeah, nothing was so sacred to him that he wouldn't poke fun at it and point out where it was absurd or where it was silly. And that's why a lot of people, I think, claim that his political opinions were this way or that way or whatever. And he did have some strong political opinions, but for the most part, I think a lot of people end up deriving what they think his opinions are from his satire. But that's usually kind of a dangerous thing to do. When you're a humorist, when you're somebody who wants to make people laugh, you should be able to poke fun at anything, even the things that you think that you believe in, you know, that you think are true, even of yourself. And well, I think this is great. Stop me when you get offended.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking to you, Ina. Stop me when you get offended.
Is this about women or what?
You'll find out. This is extracts from Adam's diary, translated from the original manuscript. Monday. This new creature with the long hair is a good deal in the way. It is always hanging around and following me about. I don't like this. I'm not used to company. I wish it would stay with the other animals. Cloudy today. Wind in the east. I think we shall have rain. We? Where did I get that word? I remember now. The new creature uses it. Tuesday. Been examining the great waterfall. It is the finest thing on the estate, I think. The new creature calls it Niagara Falls. Why? I'm sure I do not know. The creature says it looks like Niagara Falls. That's not a reason. It is mere waywardness and imbecility. I get no chance to name anything myself anymore. The new creature names everything that comes along before I can get in a protest. And always the same pretext is offered. It looks like the thing. There is the dodo, for instance. Says the moment one looks at it, one sees at a glance that it looks like a dodo. We'll have to keep that name, no doubt. It wearies me to fret about it, but it does no good anyway. Dodo. It looks like a dodo. It looks no more like a dodo than I do. Wednesday. Built me a shelter against the rain, but could not have it to myself in peace. The new creature intruded. When I tried to put it out, it shed water out of the holes it looks with, and wiped it away with the back of its paws, and made a noise such as some of the other animals make when they are distressed. I wish I would not talk. I wish it would not talk, the other creature, the new creature. It is always talking. That sounds like a cheap fling at the poor creature, a slur, but I do not mean it so. I have never heard the human voice before, and any new strange sound introducing itself here upon the solemn hush of these dreaming solitudes, well, it simply offends my ear, and seems a false note. And the new sound is so close to me, it is right at my shoulder, right at my ear, first on one side, then on the other. And I'm used to only sounds that are more or less distant from me. Friday. The naming goes recklessly on in spite of anything I can do. I had a very good name for the estate. It was musical and pretty. Garden of Eden. Privately, I continue to call it that, but not any longer publicly. The new creature says it is all woods and rocks and scenery, and therefore has no resemblance to a garden. Says it looks like a park, and does not look like anything but a park. A park? Consequently, without consulting me, it has been named Niagara Falls Park. This is sufficiently high-handed, it seems to me, and already there is a sign up: keep off the grass. My life is not as happy as it was.
The creatures.
No, the new creature. You know who the new creature is.
Of course. Well, thank you.
It gets better, and Adam gets used to the new creature, and even, starts calling her by a name at some point, I believe.
That's a great progress. Love you and your high-profile program. Thank you, Irene. Irene keeps in touch with us through our live video. We hope to hear from her soon. And I've got some interesting facts about Mark Twain. 8 things you may not know about Mark Twain.
Oh, okay.
Do I have time?
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
I think we do.
Well, we've got about 8 minutes. So, if you can get through one a minute without me interrupting you, then we've got it.
Please interrupt. So, number 1, as a baby, he wasn't expected to leave. Excuse me. Mark Twain was born 2 months prematurely on November 30th.
And that was a big deal back then. 2 months.
And remained sickly and frail until he was 7 years old. Clemens was the 6th of 7 children, only 3 of whom survived to adulthood. In 1839, his father, John Marshall, a self-educated lawyer who ran a general store, moved his family to the town of Hannibal, Missouri, in search of better business opportunities. Declares later his son would set his popular novels, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, in a fictionalized version of Hannibal. John Marshall Clemens became a justice of the peace in Hannibal, but struggled financially when Samuel Clemens was 11. His 49-year-old father died of pneumonia. Number 2, Twain's formal education.
Pneumonia. Word. Spell that
pneumonia.
Word. Pneumonia.
Pneumonia.
Why does that word start with a P?
Yeah,
what on God's green
earth? In
Russian,
it is pneumonia. Okay.
What on God's green earth is the letter P doing in the word pneumonia?
Pneumonia. So number 2, Twain's formal education was limited. In 1848, the year after his father's death, Clemens went to work full-time as an apprentice printer at a newspaper in Hannibal. In 1851, he moved over to a typesetting job at a local paper owned by his brother.
By his older brother.
Orion, and eventually penned a handful of short satirical items for the publication. Number 3, his career as a riverboat pilot was marred by tragedy. In 1857, Clemens became an apprentice steamboat pilot on the Mississippi River. The following year, while employed on a boat called the Pennsylvania, he got his younger brother Henry a job aboard the vessel. Samuel Clemens worked on the Pennsylvania until early June. Then on June 13th, disaster struck when the Pennsylvania, traveling near Memphis, experienced a deadly boiler explosion. Among those who perished as a result was 19-year-old Henry. Twain briefly served with a Confederate militia. In June 1861, shortly after the Civil War began, 25-year-old Clemens joined the Marion Rangers, a pro-Confederate militia. Although his family had owned a slave when he was a boy, Clemens didn't have strong ideological convictions about the war and probably enlisted with the militia primarily out of loyalty to his southern roots. His time with the group turned out to be brief. After 2 weeks of conducting drills, the poorly supplied Marion Rangers disbanded upon hearing a rumor that a Union force led by Ulysses Grant, as Clemens eventually learned, was headed their way. And he struck literally gold in California.
Yeah, he went out there. I believe he went out to California following another one of his brothers to go and do some gold mining during the gold rush.
And the sixth fact is that Twain based Huckleberry Finn on a real person. And number 7. He was a bad businessman.
Well, yeah.
After becoming a successful writer, Twain sunk money into a number of bad investments and eventually went bankrupt. And the last one, Twain has no living direct descendants. Yeah, we learned about that also from the test.
Yep.
So that's all I had about Mark Twain. And we're actually ready for the break. And right after that, what we're going to have.
I've got a little something more to read.
Okay, more
from
reading.
Mark Twain. And then we'll have...
and then we'll have our guests.
And then we'll have our guests. Yeah.
This is the Great American Weekend. We're talking about Mark Twain. You can call in 560-901. Watch us live on our social media platforms. We'll be back after the break and a song for you by Take 6. Stay tuned.
What's the best word in American English?
My all-time favorite word is but I usually refer to it as lovemaking.
Become more fluent in American English and slang.
Back in the studio with the Great American Weekend on Radio Van 103.1.
This is Master Steve.
And I'm Ina MK.
MK.
And we have already our guests at the station waiting for their turn to be in our studio. So we're anxious. And by the way, we have another quiz, actually. Let's sum up. Let's see what we've learned from tonight's episode. And also kind of review and repeat what we have read and about Mark Twain. Are you ready, Master Steve?
I'm always ready.
Okay, let's do this. Question number 9. In what year was Mark Twain born? We already know.
1936, I believe. 1930. You know, right in the middle of the Second World War.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm horrible with dates, but yeah, 1836.
Okay, 1836. Oops. Okay. The next question. What was Mark Twain's real name?
Samuel Langhorne Clemens.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Let's see.
The next question. What does Mark Twain actually mean?
Oh, well, it's, 2 fathoms. And that's the part that I usually don't remember. Fathoms, but it's the measuring.
That he was a twin? That
no.
he
No,
two drinks
no.
ordered at a bar?
2 drinks ordered at a bar. Well, maybe.
The same depth of water for a steamboat?
Yep, safe depth
Yeah.
for water.
Where was Mark Twain born? St. Louis, Hannibal, Jefferson City, Cairo.
Cairo? I believe he went there a couple of times, but he was not born there.
Okay, so the answer is?
Jefferson City. No, wait. What was it?
Jefferson City.
Florida. Florida.
Florida? Okay. There was.
I forget the city.
St. Louis, Hannibal, Jefferson City, and Cairo.
Jefferson City.
Okay. The next question: true or false? Mark Twain wrote Huckleberry Finn after the Civil War, and it takes place during the Civil War. True, false?
No. Wait. No, I don't think it takes place during the Civil War.
So false.
Yeah, I think that's false. I don't remember. I read that when I was a kid, so I don't think. No, boy,
false.
That's a good question. I think it's false, though.
Mark Twain protested the unfair and unethical treatment of which minority group in America? Chinese, Italian, Irish, Germans.
I don't, boy, I have no idea. Irish? I'm just going to guess at the Irish.
Okay. True or false? Twain
Irish. Chinese, maybe, because he would have encountered quite a few of them out anyway, when he went out for the gold rush. Anyway, continue.
True or false? Twain was once the pilot of a steamboat.
Of course.
We know that.
He takes his name
we
from.
know that already.
And that was apparently one of, him and all of his friends when they were growing up. That's what they all wanted to be. Like, being a steamboat captain, a pilot of a steamboat, was just something they all aspired to be.
Just like
it was the cool job.
Soviet kids wanted to be a space travelers.
And astronauts, yeah.
And the next question, Mark Twain helped which American president finish his memoirs? Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson, Grant, and James Buchanan.
I don't know. James Buchanan, maybe? Not Lincoln, because Lincoln, I don't think, was working on his memoirs. He wasn't expecting to die because he was assassinated. Jefferson would have been too early. I don't know. Yeah, Buchanan, I guess.
Okay.
Mm.
The next question, which of the following products did Mark Twain endorse as a celebrity? Cigars, fountain pen, flour, all of the above.
What was the last one?
All of the above.
No, the last...
Flour.
Flour. I know... I'm going to say fountain pen.
What about the cigars?
He was but I don't think he endorsed them. I don't know.
Okay, fountain pen it is. And the next question, which of the following is not a common characteristics of American frontier dwellers? Rich, practical, mobile, optimistic.
Rich.
Okay. Question number 11. As a literary movement, realism aimed to portray U.S. history, ordinary life, no emotions, nature, and imagination.
What was the second to the last one?
U.S. history, ordinary life, no emotions, nature and imagination.
Ordinary life.
Okay. What is the way of speaking? This speaking that is localized geographically. Conversation, linguistics, dialect.
Dialect. And Mark Twain was known for being quite good with capturing dialect in his writing.
Yeah. Next question, true or false? Most scholars believe that Twain was a racist due to his portrayal of Jim. True or false?
I don't think most scholars do. I think that's false. I think a lot of people in the public, there was at one point a movement to get, the Mark Twain taken out and Tom Sawyer taken out of school libraries because people thought they were racist. But there was there's more to it than just that. So I don't think most scholars believe that.
Which of the following was not written by Mark Twain? The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, The Innocents Abroad, East of Eden.
East of Eden, because I believe that's actually a Hemingway novel. Another great American writer, but completely different.
Yeah, and Irene mentioned Hemingway earlier in the comments.
Hemingway.
Yeah. Which physical feature stands out for Mark Twain? His mustache, his bright red hair, his beard, his thick glasses.
But he didn't have glasses as far as I know. He didn't have a beard either. It's his mustache.
Yeah, it's mustache. Here we go. And we have got all the answers now, and we'll process the answers and get them later. And
okay.
maybe we can post them in our group so that the listeners can learn and see what the answers were. So we are not going to reveal the answers now. We'll do that later in our Facebook group, The Great American Weekend Radio 1. Follow it, join, participate, and of course, listen to our recorded episodes later when we post them on Mondays. And now, do we have more reading?
Yeah, and I had something a little bit longer to read, and it's funny.
We've got only 5 minutes.
Yeah, how I edited an agricultural journal once. And this is not true, but he writes it as if he wants it to be autobiographical, and it's hilarious. Anyway, it's a great, funny little piece, and it actually has it has a nice point to it in terms of media and newspapers. So, and this the story or the moral behind it, I think is relevant even today, just about how you get a newspaper to sell by just being crazy and not necessarily by being accurate, but I'll leave that.
Creative, let's call it that way.
Being creative, because basically the story is this guy takes over the editorialship or the editor position of this agricultural journal and just writes all of this crazy stuff. That turnips grow on trees and that cows molt. And I mean, just all this crazy stuff, and people start coming in and like
arguing.
Are you? Yeah, it's hilarious. And the editor comes back early from his vacation, the real editor, and starts criticizing Twain, saying, "You are crazy. If you wanted to be ignorant, you could have studied your whole life to be ignorant, and you wouldn't be more ignorant than what you are right now, writing about agriculture in this journal." And the main character goes, "Well, I told you I would get lots of people to read your journal, and I would increase the subscriptions."
They haven't told how.
Yeah, I said, I did it.
To mention
I did it, and how dare you tell me that I don't know how to run, any sort of a magazine, and that I need to know something about agriculture to edit an agricultural journal? No, you don't. In fact, that's how you get only farmers to read it. And what's a publication that only farmers are reading? It's not going to make money. Jeez, so it's hilarious. But I'll, look that up and read it. It's a great read. But I ended the last reading with this: "My life is not as happy as it was." from Adam's diary.
The creature.
The creature.
All
It
because of the
goes
creature.
all because of this new creature. Well, it goes on. Things get better, right? So the last entry from Adam's diary, at least, is, "They are boys. We found it out long ago. It was their coming in that small, immature shape that fooled us. We were not used to it. There are some girls now, too. Abel is a good boy, but if Cain had stayed a bear, it would have improved him." He'd be better off as a bear. And after all these years, I see that I was mistaken about Eve in the beginning. It is better to live outside the garden with her than inside without her. At first, I thought she talked too much, but now I should be sorry to have that voice fall silent and pass out of my life. Blessed be the chestnut that brought us near together and taught me to know the goodness of her heart and the sweetness of her spirit.
Oh.
So, yeah, he doesn't just go on criticizing her and complaining about her.
So it's
He
it's a happy ending.
He learns to love her.
That's good news. And now we're ready for the break and to welcome our guests in the studio.
We will be back with David and Bruce and a little bit of music and a little bit of questions and talking about what they're up to here in Armenia after this commercial break.
So do not go anywhere and listen to the Great American Weekend on Radio Van 103.1.
I would never live in America.
Why not? Didn't you enjoy your time there?
Yeah, why not?
It was good, but it wasn't great.
Because you didn't know us when you were there.
Join Ina MK, Master Steve, and Hasva QT for a great American experience.
Every Saturday on the Great American Weekend.
We're back in the studio on Radio Van 103.1, and we finally have our guests in the studio. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
We're doing great, and we're ready to ask all kinds of questions to you that we have prepared.
Maybe we're ready to answer.
Well,
We
it would
have
be
Bruce
nice if
and
you...
David.
Well, you don't necessarily have to answer the questions we ask. You can answer any question you want.
I don't want to incriminate myself.
Well, that would be helpful.
And so we
Bruce,
have Bruce and David.
You're not Armenian. Dave is.
Correct.
But let's ask the first question. So what brings you here to Armenia?
Well, I moved here in 2013. I was married to an Armenian woman. For 13 years we moved here. But we're now divorced and I'm remarried. And I just recently became a father of two.
Oh, you had twins.
No, I adopted a 15 and a 9-year-old.
Well, good job on that.
Yes.
You missed all sorts of
No
diapers and all that kind of messy stuff. But I guess 15 and how old?
9.
15 and 9. You still have some tough years. 9 is, I think, a pretty easy age.
Yeah.
15, a boy.
Yes, he's a
50. You're gonna earn your keep in the next few years.
Great kids, though. These are my wife's kids. They were my stepkids. Now they're my legal kids, and the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
That's cool. That's cool. So now, the band.
Yes, Dead Walking. So we, I used to host an open mic on Sunday nights at the Station Pub on Parpetsy Street.
I remember that place.
And all these musicians would come in and they would all play "Wish You Were Here," "Knocking on Heaven's Door," same songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and I'm a big Grateful Dead fan, and I decided that, it's time to get a Grateful Dead band in Yerevan. So because I hosted an open mic, I had access to a lot of musicians who would come in, talented musicians, and I would ask them, "Oh yes, I'm very interested," and none of them would follow up. And finally, this guy came and he played an open mic, and I talked to him. We had not met before, and he said he was interested, and he did follow up.
So when you came that night to play at the open mic night, what did you play? Do you remember what you played?
I played Creep from Radiohead. Because, I was 17 years old.
Radiohead.
Guy who came after from Van Azur. And that was the song, my favorite one. My band's song, School. I had a metal band that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Those were songs.
From metal to the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
He's very versatile.
So now, for our listeners who aren't familiar with the Grateful Dead, can you guys explain a little bit?
What is so special about them?
They're not just a band. They are something more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Grateful Dead was famous in the late '60s as one of the top bands during the hippie era. And they're from San Francisco or San Rafael, the Bay Area, and they just caught on, and they constantly toured for 30 years until They started in '65, and in 1995, the band, the main leader Jerry Garcia, passed away, but then the surviving members kept creating new incarnations of the band with the original members and some new members. And right now, today, there's a band called Dead and Company, and they tour quite often, and it's 3 original Grateful Dead members, and John Mayer, who's very famous, is now the other front man.
Oh, really?
John Mayer, and then 2 other guys.
Okay, I didn't know that Mayer had joined them.
Yes.
Oh.
They started in 2015.
Okay.
And they're fantastic. And they play, the same songs that the Grateful Dead played, and they get the same crowds. They played in the summer to stadiums, 70,000, 80,000 people. And it's great. It's amazing because, as one of their songs is called, "The Music Never Stopped."
Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen the Dead?
I saw the Dead about 30 times.
About 30.
Wow.
The original with Garcia.
With Garcia, that's nothing. Okay. Believe me, that's nothing. Some people have seen them hundreds.
Oh yeah.
Some people, their whole life revolved around following them from tour to tour.
Deadheads.
Yeah, exactly.
Deadheads. People that just kind of drop out of everything else and follow the Grateful Dead around on tour. I never got
them late in the late '80s after college, and so only the last 8 years of Garcia's era. So I didn't have as many years to see as many shows, but there's nothing. They say there's nothing like a Grateful Dead concert, and it's true.
So I've seen one of the reincarnations of them, and I forget which it was. But yeah, it's something different because they're known. I mean, not just for the kind of subculture, kind of hippie quality of the whole thing, right? But also as just being a jam band.
Correct. The best jam band ever. They could play a 20-minute version of a song. A studio version is like 4 minutes, but they could play it for 20 minutes in concert. And the jam just, they improvise. They build it, and they bring you up and down and up and down. And
yeah, which is something pretty normal in jazz, but in rock, that's not very common.
Yeah, it's very unique. A lot of it's, especially back in the day, they were playing to the crowd being on drugs.
All right, so
we're ready for the break, and right after the break, maybe we'll have some surprises.
We'll come
musical.
I think we'll come
musical
back.
Pieces.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say I think we'll come back from the break with song.
Yeah,
indeed.
So this is the Great American Weekend. We have David and Bruce in our studio, Dead Walking, and we'll be back after the break.
Ina, what would make America great again?
More barbecue.
No, we need more freedom. That's what'll make it great.
Join us on Great American Weekend
And help us solve all of America's problems.
Every show is recorded by the NSA and sent to the White House.
Welcome back to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Vaughn.
103.1.
I'm here with Ina MK.
And I'm here with Master Steve.
And we have Dave and Bruce. And I want to hand it over to Bruce. You guys have a song for us?
Yeah, we're going to play, it's very gloomy, rainy day, so we thought we'd start with a nice upbeat song, a very, very famous Grateful Dead classic. We play it in concert all the time when we play at the pubs. It's called Friend of the Devil.
I lit out from Reno, I was trailed by 20 hounds. Didn't get to sleep last night till the morning came around. Set out running, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight. Ran into the devil, babe, he loaned me 20 bills. Spent the night in Utah, in a cave up in the hills. Set out running, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight. Ran down to the levee, but the devil caught me there. Took my $20 bill and vanished in the air. Set out running, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight. Got 2 reasons why I cry away each lonely night. First one's named Sweet Tamara, she's my heart's delight. Second one is Prison Bay, sheriff's on my trail. And if he catches up with me, you know I'll spend my life in jail. Got a wife in Chino, babe, another one in Cherokee. First one says she's got my child, but it don't look like me. Set out running, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight.
Thank you.
Applause, applause.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we hope to hear some other stuff later during the show.
We got one or two more prepared.
One or two?
Just
All right.
And since you guys are in a show which is called The Great American Weekend, I'd like to ask you a question. What connects you with the United States?
The first 48 years of my life.
The first half of the childhood.
Yeah. But actually, I'm a lawyer, and I do it remotely from here back in my home state of Connecticut. I represent employees who may have been fired for discriminatory reasons, things like this, and I try to help them, get some severance pay, things like this. But I do that from here. It's all email and Skype, and it's amazing.
Is
25 years ago, I couldn't do it.
Long distance?
Yeah, it works great. I have a paralegal in Connecticut that I work with, so it's good to have somebody there locally. But from here, I could be sitting in Connecticut in my office, or I could be sitting in China or Yerevan, and it's just as effective. Yeah.
The wonders of the internet.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Cool. Who would think?
David.
30 years back.
What connects me with US players. And also my sister who is living there.
In Baltimore.
Years. Yeah, in Baltimore.
Okay, well, but also, it seems like you have some cultural influences as well. Of course, the Grateful Dead, you're playing their stuff, and you were in a metal band before.
Yeah, in that period, I can tell that at least half of the bands who I loved were Americans. For example, one of the greatest for me, Tool, you know.
Yeah,
that,
Tool.
I loved them a lot, and many bands from US I love. So yeah, there is also cultural connection for me.
David, we've heard about your video production company.
Yeah.
So besides music, you do videos, and can you share us a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. I'm doing sound operating in some filmmaking processes, and also we have a production where we are doing a lot of video clips for music for many bands. So we have already one song published, and till the end of the year we will have 4 other ones. So we're very new, organization.
What's it called?
The name of our production is Geshuroch Records, and so after till the end of the year, you will see other
works.
Videos.
Okay, we'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And Bruce, I'd like to ask you. You've lived in Armenia how many years?
A little over 6 years.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I feel Armenian.
So do you have any? Do you have any favorite places in Armenia?
Many, pubs and restaurants, etc. I mean, my wife
Maybe
and
sites.
I over the summer, I'm Jewish, and I'm a member of not a member, but I attend the synagogue here. There's a synagogue, many people don't realize. And the rabbi arranged a road trip one day to Yegais, I believe is the name of the village. Yegais. Anyway, there's an ancient Jewish cemetery there, and it was discovered by archaeologists around the year 2000, but the stones are from around 1300. And it's fascinating, amazing place, and that's really one of the favorite trips I made to see something in Armenia was to this Jewish cemetery.
So still, your favorite place in Armenia is connected with Jewish.
Well, yeah, it's just so crazy when you think about it. There's only about 300 Jewish people in Armenia right now.
Yeah.
But in Gerhard, my wife and I just went to Gerhard the other day because she wanted to have a little spiritual cleansing, and of course, but everybody goes there. And Noravank, beautiful place. The rock climbers go there. It's really cool to see when you're going up to the monastery. You see rock climbers on the rock face. By the way, Yerevan in Armenia is a undiscovered rock climbing paradise.
Oh yeah, not just that, but rock climbing, hiking, camping. Incredible,
we're developing
stuff.
This
I hope so, because like when you go to Gerhard and you look, I have a good friend who's an expert rock climber. He'd be like in heaven to just see this. Oh yeah, I'm gonna climb that, but he won't come here.
Why not?
Master Steve, since we're talking about Mark Twain, I'd like to ask our guests, what do you think about this quote by Mark Twain? The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. And it's kind of connected with the with the title of your band. So.
Grateful Dead, yeah, or Dead Walking.
Yeah.
The fear of death follows from the fear of life. Yeah, if you live bravely, you realize there's nothing to be afraid of. I think people who have a lot of regrets that they didn't do something that they should have, or that they did something that they shouldn't have, are probably the ones that think more about the end, maybe because they'll run out of time before they can correct it. Do that thing that they regret not doing, or making amends for something that they regret doing. It's profound.
Thanks. Thank you for your answer.
I think on that note, a question about a dead quote.
Yeah, maybe
or a quote
we can
about death. Yeah.
Maybe
you guys have some more dead to lay on us?
We actually were hoping to do our one and only original tune next. And then we do have another dead tune for later.
Okay.
But this is a song that I wrote and David did the guitar arrangement for, and we perform it all the time. I'm hoping some established artists like Ed Sheeran will discover it and record it and make me $10 million. Anyway, we think it's a pretty good song. It's a little bit sad and it's a lament.
Be sure that after this show,
I'm sure
your
discover
dreams
it.
will come true.
I have no doubts.
Okay, let's do this.
That's the wrong song. No, that's I Shall Be Released. Now you got it. mind's preoccupied, all else eclipsed. Remembering times with you that didn't last. Imagine what I hope would be, crazy but not too blind to see. Can you miss what hasn't come to pass? And hearing about your great new life and love, I realize that all my hopes attached. I'm happy for you, but sad for me. It'll never be, not ever be. Can you miss what hasn't come to pass? Life's full of hopes and dreams, charades and fantasies. They vanish in the air, pass you like a breeze. 5,000 miles away, maybe I'd have stayed, but it's time to get back to reality. Yes, it's time to get back to reality. I wish it weren't so, but glad it is. And not be gladder for your happiness. I got my own problems, they're reaching critical mass. Can you miss what hasn't come to pass? Can you miss what hasn't come to pass? Thank you. We're proud of it.
That's a nice tune. That's a nice tune. So now, wait a second. David, you make video productions, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering, are you guys working on a video for this song?
Yeah. We're discussing it, and we plan to, yes. Okay. I need to find the right female singer, because I don't want to be the singer in the video. I want to have a nice young lady who's got a beautiful voice and do the video. So we're going to do it.
All right, cool, cool. What other sort of projects are you working on with your video production?
Now we are doing a lot of songs for electronic musicians.
Okay.
So it's kind of secret till we didn't publish yet. So in the end of the year, you will know all of the guys who are working, for whom we are working now, and then we'll continue there.
Okay. Do you do other stuff besides music videos?
I didn't get.
Do you do other stuff besides music videos?
Yeah, we are working on some documentary movies also, like whatever we are interested in, you know, like
okay.
We are very young and we want to catch everything. Yeah.
So if there's anybody out there in the audience who's got a project and you need some video production.
Yeah, we're here.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh. Guys, I have got a question for you, a little philosophical. What is freedom?
What is freedom? You want to try this one?
Freedom is when you don't have questions like these.
We have now just imprisoned you in a question.
Freedom is just being free to be yourself and not having to worry about whether there's some stupid law or some people who are hateful. It's a lack of worrying about who you are or what you can do.
Thank you.
Nice.
What is the weirdest thing you've done?
In my life?
Yeah.
This is a family show.
It's a good thing you pointed that out.
No restrictions.
The weirdest thing I've done, I mean, I would have it never entered my mind. I'm not a musician. I can't play a note. It never entered my mind to start a band in the U.S. But one of the things I love about this place is that you can do that.
And so it's like people have known me my whole life. Their mind is boggled that I have this Grateful Dead band in Armenia. And the other thing is, I don't know if it's weird necessarily, but I'm an avid golfer. And I kind of suck actually back in the U.S. But here I'm the best one.
One of the benefits of being in Armenia.
I think one of the best things about Armenia for Bruce.
And I made through both endeavors, the band and the golf. I've made so many close friends here. I probably have more friends here than I ever had back in the U.S. my whole life.
See, now I find this a little hard to believe. A lawyer who is no good at golf?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm no good. I'm exaggerating because I don't want to denigrate the golfers who are here.
That's
Steve,
true.
I thought you were gonna say a lawyer who doesn't have friends.
That's not unusual.
No, that's not unusual.
But I exaggerate.
At all.
I mean, I exaggerate. I'm not that bad back there, but I'm average.
Okay.
But
no, I'm just teasing.
Golf is new here, and there's only a handful of actually local native Armenians who have taken it up.
Yeah.
We're always trying
there's
to
only one golf course.
Yeah, one 9-hole golf course in Bahagni, and we love it. We love this course. But we're always trying to support it and develop it and get more and more people interested. The president of our golf association, Karen Hovanesyan, gives lessons to kids, and a few of the kids become very interested and they follow through with it, and so it's great. We spend the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays and some weekdays even. But on the weekends, everybody comes and we're hanging out, and it's beautiful weather and just having a good time. It's a wonderful thing. I encourage anybody who's interested to come and visit the golf course and take a few swings.
Great. And how would you spend the last day of your life?
How would I spend it? Oh my goodness!
Both of you.
Couldn't you give us these questions in advance?
That wouldn't be as much fun.
How would I spend?
We like watching you squirm a little bit as you try to answer these.
I think I would want to spend the last day of my life alone with my wife and my 2 kids, and telling them a lot of things that I should have always told them. I want to sit there and think
a lot of secrets or a lot of advice.
A little of both, and also feelings, regrets, and things I'm proud of, and how I feel about them, and how they've made my life.
You can do it now.
Live on the radio.
Listen, I hope I got about 30 more years before I gotta worry about this. How about you?
David will come to the rescue.
You had time to think about it.
I enjoy not writing scenarios for my future. I really enjoy this because I don't want to be part of the system I created in the past. So I don't know what I will do tomorrow. So
he lives spontaneously.
So you'll just improvise.
Yeah. This I like.
I mean, he's a musician.
Yeah. So, David, have you ever been to the U.S.?
No, not yet.
Where would you want to go on your first trip? Do you want to go to the U.S.?
I would like to visit my sister because, for many years I didn't see how she is there. Like, she came here, but I never saw how is her apartment, how is she's doing there. So
maybe she doesn't want you to know.
No.
She lives in Baltimore.
Yeah. So, and I think this is very interesting city. Like, as much as I know about the city, Baltimore, it is very interesting for me. So, for sure, I think I will start from there, and then I will see.
Nice. Now, Bruce, how often do you get back? And do you want to go back?
Well, I certainly want to go back, regularly to visit, see my mom and my sister and my aunt and my niece. But I, love it here very much. We think we'll go back to live for some period of time when our son is ready for college. I think maybe we'll go there for a year while he starts college, something like that. Or I should say university. I know here when we say college, it means something different. University. Yeah. So that's 3 years away. And I've been back, probably 8 times in 6 years that I've been here. Yeah.
Let's imagine it's your biggest concert, millions of people, and you're standing on the stage. Where is it? Where is that concert?
I would like it to be in the mountains.
In the mountains? Yeah. There's some
nature, as very big fest.
Be more concrete. Which country is it in?
Armenia. We have so cool nature to just go there for a week.
It would be great to discover a great outdoor but for me, I think Red Rocks. I've never been there. Red Rocks in Colorado.
I never have either, but that's supposed to be just an incredible venue.
I hear everybody who goes there says the best concert venue they've ever been to. So I think I would probably choose Red Rocks, but our biggest audience has been about maybe 200 people, so I might be a little nervous if I had more than that.
The best is yet to come, yes. I'm sure. And before we listen to the last song and part with our guests, I would like to ask the last question. If the whole world could hear one message that you would say through your song in lyrics, what would you say? What would it be?
Well, remember, I only have one original song.
If you could write the perfect song,
I could write the perfect
what would
song.
it say?
What would it say?
I mean, the thought, the message, what would be in there? What would you tell to entire humanity? Let's put it this way.
Relax, smile, and be kind.
Relax and enjoy.
Be kind.
Be kind. Thank you. And what are we going to hear now?
So our third song is another Grateful Dead classic called Dire Wolf. We often play. This is the song I'm always trying to get the audience to, is because we have some regulars, that come all the time, and they know the song, and they know the chorus is very easy, and I'm always trying to get them to, it's like pulling teeth, but I'm always trying to get them to do a chorus on their own, like stop the music and, like this. But anyway, you'll hear it, and it's pretty easy to pick up.
Are there cases like people coming up to you and asking, can you play this song, and can you play that
yeah,
song?
well, usually they're asking if we could play a Beatles song or a Rolling Stone song or something, or a Led Zeppelin song. But the theme of our band is Grateful Dead. I have rules, Freebird, Leonard Skinner. I have rules, and the rule is if we're gonna play other than the original that we do. If we're going to play it, it's a song that either the Grateful Dead performed.
It should be R&B only.
Yeah. or Jerry Garcia, his other band. He had the Jerry Garcia band when the Grateful Dead. So as long as one of them played it, then it's legal, I say. It's legal for us to play it.
Okay, let's do this.
don't murder me. Thank you.
Please don't murder us with an advertisement.
Well, thank you guys
thank you
so
guys.
much
Thank
for
you
joining
guys.
us tonight.
We really enjoyed it.
When's your next gig? When can we see Dead Walking?
We don't have one scheduled right now, but I'm sure within a few weeks. And if you go on Facebook, Dead Walking or Dead Walking Armenia, I don't know, you'll see the logo. We may not be the best band, but we got the coolest logo. And a shout out to the beautiful Karine Jagarian, who designed our logo, by the way.
I hate to interrupt you guys, but we're ready for
We
the
gotta
break.
pay the bills.
Thank you guys. Thanks for
Thank you
coming.
both very much.
And hope to be at your concert
I
soon.
hope so too.
You guys stay
Bring
tuned.
people.
We're going to have our regular calendar of events after the break.
Վարչապետ Նիկոլ Փաշինյանը հեռախոսազրույց է ունեցել Ղազախստանի նախագահ Նուրսուլթան Նազարբաևի հետ։
Oh, could they just speak a little bit slower?
Don't worry. You can catch local news, events, and culture in English every Saturday on Great American Weekend.
Exactly. You can catch the local news and also upcoming events.
And that's what we're doing now.
That's what we're
our
doing
final
now.
segment for this episode of Great American Weekend. And we have our calendar of events.
With movies in English.
Well,
at
I mean,
Kino
there's
Park.
going to be stuff going on at the Yerevan American Corner this week. We don't have the details
We
yet.
don't have their
but we
plan
should have
yet.
the art and the reading club.
We'll post
and
it
we'll
on
post
our
it as
group.
soon as it becomes available on Facebook.
So let's do the movies. Downtown Abbey, 2019 historical period drama film at 12:55 p.m. We have a new movie, Last Christmas, a premiere, romantic comedy film based on the song of the same name, starring Emilia Clarke. Our Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. She is a cynical Christmas store worker who forms a relationship with a mysterious man, Henry Golding, and begins to fall for him. You can watch the movie at 6:35 p.m. every day from December 1st through 4th. Knives Out, American mystery film, follows a family gathering gone horribly awry. After the family patriarch's death, leads a master detective to investigate. 8:10, 3:25 p.m.
And Frozen 2, which is a sequel, of course, to the Disney
I bet
classic
I'm gonna
princess
go
film Frozen.
there with Sasha.
I will probably end up there as well.
Let's read together.
3D computer animated musical fantasy produced by Walt Disney, and it's at 4:50 every day from December 1st to December 4th this week.
Now, let's see what they have at Opera and Ballet Theater. Music for Viola concert at the theater's special event hall, December 3rd at 7 p.m. A premiere, Un Ballo in Maschera, opera in 3 acts, December 5th at 7 p.m. And The Masquerade, ballet in 2 acts, December 7th at 7 p.m.
As usual, we've got a lot of great music, great live music coming up this week in Yerevan. We've got a tribute to Kenny Garrett at Uli Hanyan Club on December 1st. That's tomorrow night, Sunday night. We also have Yellowstones at Mezzo Music Club on December 1st. That starts at 8:30 p.m. Winter is Here, which is a live music concert by Kami Friends at Kami Club, also tomorrow night, December 1st. The Yerevan State College of Pop and Jazz Art has a concert at Uli Hanyan Club on December 2nd. That's Monday, December 2nd. Winter Monday with Colors of Music at Kami Club, also December 2nd. The Hot and Roll Band is at Uli Hanyan Club on December 3rd. Suzy Sirakian, Sirakanyan, sorry, lost one of the syllables in there. Susie Sirakanyan and the Union Band at Kami Club, also on December 3rd. The music of Horace Silver, a tribute by the Karin Grigoryan Band, by the quintet, his quintet at Ulihanyan Club on December 4th. Arpi and the Highway Band at Kami Club on December 4th. The Fifth Season Band at 12 Club on December 5th. Funkabout at Ulihanyan Club, also on December 5th. Jazz and More, which is Karina Arustamian and the band at Kami Club, December 5th. Winter Friday Vibes with Kami Friends at Kami Club, December 6th. Arson Narcissian Quartet at Ulihanyan on December 6th. And the Ness Band at Mezzo Music Club, December 7th at 8:30 p.m.
Thank you, Master Steve. And now we've got some other events going on. Back to the USSR, Soviet Food event, December 1st.
Named after the great Beatles song.
Back to USSR, December 1st at 7 p.m. at EVN Diner. Mane and Sylvia Music Show, December 1st at 9 p.m. at Rio Bar. AGBU Exhibition, Sacred Minimalism Exhibition, and sale of works by three prominent artists, Lilit Bachach, Armenia, Yaro Zabavsky, Russia, and Ashot Grigoryan, Armenian, December 6th at 7 p.m. The Classical Jackson, performed by Armenian State Symphony Orchestra at Sport and Concert Complex, December 3rd at 7 p.m. Masterpiece Peace Christmas and New Year Handmade Bazaar 2019 and 20, December 1st, 10 a.m. through 8 p.m. at Ani Plaza Hotel. Lindy Hop and Solo Jazz Masterclass, December 6th at 8 p.m. at Gloria Dance Club. And the last thing, we have Pub Quiz Volume 4 at the venue, as usually, December 2nd at 9 p.m. That's all that we have prepared for you guys for this upcoming week, and we'll be back in winter.
Yeah, tomorrow's December 1st.
Yeah, so happy upcoming first day of winter. Dress up your cozy.
Stay warm.
Yeah, stay warm. Stay warm.
Stay warm this week. Go to the pub quiz at the venue. Go see some great music.
Enjoy
we'll
tea.
be back next week here on Radio Von
with
from
Master
7 to 9.
Steve.
Master Steve and Ina MK for the Great American Weekend.
Bye-bye.